Paramhansa Yogananda was close friends with Luther Burbank and visited him frequently at his home in Santa Rosa, California. Master writes in his book, Autobiography of a Yogi, magnetically drawn to this great American, I visited him again and again. One morning I arrived at the same time as the postman, who deposited in Burbank's study about 1,000 letters. Horticulturists wrote him from all parts of the world. Swamiji, he said, your presence is just the excuse I need to get out into the garden. After spending time with him in his glorious gardens, Luther and I drove along the streets of the little town of Santa Rosa, its gardens bright with his own varieties of peach blow and Burbank roses. The great scientist had received Kriya initiation during one of my earlier visits. I practiced the technique devoutly, Swamiji, he said. After many thoughtful questions to me about various aspects of yoga, Luther remarked slowly, "The East indeed possesses immense hoards of knowledge which the West has scarcely begun to explore." Intimate communion with nature, who unlocked to Burbank many of her jealously guarded secrets, had given him a boundless spiritual reverence. Sometimes I feel very close to the infinite power, he confided shyly, his sensitive, beautifully modeled face lit with his memories. Then I have been able to heal sick persons around me, as well as many ailing plants. As our friendship grew deeper, I called Burbank my American saint. His heart was fathomlessly deep, long acquainted with humility, patience, and sacrifice. His little home amid the roses was austerely simple. He knew the worthlessness of luxury, the joy of few possessions. The modesty with which he wore his scientific fame repeatedly reminded me of the trees that bend low with the burden of ripening fruit. It is the barren tree that lifts its head high in an empty boast. Writing a book entitled The Training of the Human Plant, Burbank was deeply interested in education and wrote a letter endorsing the Yogoda training system of Paramhansa Yogananda as a superior alternative to what he considered narrowly intellectual education offered by most schools. He also helped Yogananda decide on the name for East-West magazine and contributed an article called Science and Civilization for its first issue. Yogananda dedicated his book, Autobiography of a Yogi, to Luther Burbank, an American saint. One of Burbank's most famous inventions was the spineless cactus. While I was conducting experiments, I often talked to the plants to create a vibration of love. "You have nothing to fear," I would tell them. "You don't need your defensive thorns. I will protect you." Gradually, the useful plant of the desert emerged in a thornless variety. He gave Yogananda 3 of these leaves, which grew magnificently in Yogananda's own garden. Also from Burbank's garden, this spineless cactus grows beautifully in the Ananda Sacramento Gardens, even now. In 1926, Yogananda was in New York when his dear friend passed away. He writes, "In tears I thought, oh, I would gladly walk all the way from here to Santa Rosa for one more glimpse of him. Locking myself away from secretaries and visitors, I spent the next 24 hours in seclusion. The following day, I conducted a Vedic memorial rite around a large picture of Luther. Though the form of Burbank lies in Santa Rosa under a Lebanon cedar that he planted years ago in his garden, his soul is enshrined for me in every wide-eyed flower that blooms by the wayside. Withdrawn for a time into the spacious spirit of nature, is that not Luther whispering in her winds and walking her dawns?"